Hi, boys and girls, and welcome back. We are reading Appleblossom the Possum. We are actually going to finish this book today, and so I will talk more about that in our next book that's coming up on Tuesday. But on Monday, we're finishing up Appleblossom. So let's see if she gets rescued by her family to get out of the monster's house. Chapter 36, page 253, or 256, sorry, boys and girls, page 256. Columbo looks as if he only has two thoughts in his head, but that isn't true. He has more going on than he's given credit for. Yes, his obsession with his red ball is something beyond his control, and the same can be said for his love of cheese. But he is capable of thinking about the future. He can plot, he can plan. And tonight, he's going to show this fact to the world. At the end of the evening, when the boss leads Columbo to his crate, he'll willingly go inside. He doesn't whine. He does his best to look calm and in control. But Columbo is a knot of agitation on the inside. He knows that there is still a wild animal in the house. He smells the vermin, and he is certain where the creature is hiding. Izzy's room holds the enemy, and he, Columbo, will take his opponent down. Now, hours later, the house is finally quiet. Do they really think that he hasn't watched him close the crate every night for over a year? Columbo turns his skull to the side. He opens his mouth wide and hooks his jaw over the metal door. He then jerks his head up and down and the latch pops. Easy peasy, squeezy, measy. Columbo pushes with his right front paw and he's out. He stops. He shuts his eyes. He must exercise self-control because there is a loaf of bread on the kitchen counter and a box of stale crackers also within reach. It would be easy to get these things, but he's on a mission, and that means the food will have to wait. Something bigger clouds his obsessive-compulsive brain, the wild creature. He knows it's a possum, and now this possum has made a big mistake. It's in his territory. It's on his playing field. It's about to meet the enemy. The door to Izzy's room is closed, but that isn't a problem either. There's no lock on this door. The knob is nothing that a large mouth and a good grip can't handle. Grabbing the red ball in the yard isn't just fun and games. His lips are rubbery and his grip is firm because of practicing on that beautiful round object. He clamps down. He thinks of the red ball. He turns his head, and he is in. He sees Izzy in her bed asleep. The room smells of grapes and cheese and sesame crackers. It's a distraction. There may be a few crumbs from those crackers and maybe a bit of cheese. The cheese. Who cares about a grape? It's nothing to him, but the cheese stands alone. Every dog knows that. Move on, focus. Block the image of the smudge of cheese and the crispy cracker crumbs. Don't think about the bread on the counter. Forget the red ball out in the grass waiting. Concentrate on the enemy. Inhale, exhale. Do it again. The room smells of a wild creature. He holds his nose high. The scent is everywhere. It comes off the bed and the floor. The bureau smells and the closet positively reeks of a possum. But the strongest odor is unmistakably coming from the bathroom. The door is closed. He goes forth. He moves slowly. But then another sense is activated. Another alarm sounds in the brain. He doesn't just smell the wild creature now. He hears the animal. Movement, squeaks, and squeals of the enemy. More than one. Right here, right now. Every muscle in his body is activated with one goal in mind. Attack! Chapter 37, page 262, boys and girls. They are all up against the crate. Mama Possum, Antonio, and Amlet, and the big male possum she's never seen before are on one side, Appleblossom on the other. Appleblossom cries with joy at the sight of her family. Mama Possum, Antonio, and Amlet are crying too. Even the strange possum is crying. And then the stranger loosens the screws with his long, thick nails, and the metal barrier that separates them tips forward, and they are suddenly together inside the room. Mama Possum says, Appleblossom. Appleblossom says, Mama and Antonio and Amlet. The big possum says, allow me to introduce myself. But no sooner are those words out of his mouth than the bathroom door swings open and the dog known as the Columbo appears. I don't know, boys and girls. I wonder what's going to happen. The dog stands 20 possums tall. His eyes flash and his nostrils flare, and is the scariest sight in the world. They all freeze. And then the strange possum in remarkable theoretical voice, sorry, boys and girls. And then the strange possum in remarkable theoretical voice roars, "By the pricking of my thumb, something wicked this way comes." Antonio and Amulet hold up their hands at the dog, and Antonio bellows, "Love all, trust a few. Do wrong to none." Amulet shouts, "All's well that ends well." Mama Possum rises up on her back legs to deliver her performance. "Fie, fie, unknit the threatened unkind bro, and dart not scornful glances from those eyes." Finally, Appleblossom speaks the only line she remembers by the famous possum playwright known as Shakespeare. "Whoever loved that loved not at first sight." She knows that her delivery and performance are weak. Plus, her dialogue doesn't seem to be right for the scene. The dog seems to have had enough Shakespeare and enough stalling. It's clear that he's ready to lunch. It's curtains for the Possum family, and they know it. This will be a tragedy, not a comedy, not even a drama or a mystery. And then Appleblossom realizes that right there in the room is a prop that might just change the way the scene plays out. She grabs the new shampoo bottle that the people mother brought in after the other bottle went missing. It has a round red top that looks like a red ball. Appleblossom pulls off the top and holds it towards the dog. His eyes lock on the object. "Tennis ball, my liege," she says. Obsession, the idea, the image, the desire, the feeling. One thought runs this showdown. A red ball. His red ball is outside in the grass because it's not allowed inside, because a certain dog becomes obsessed and can't think of anything but this object if he sees it. And now the red ball is here, or the red ball that looks like his red ball. The wild creature has it and she throws it. He is blinded by the light. A red ball. That's all there is. Chapter 39, boys and girls, 269. Izzy is up out of bed in the bathroom in seconds. She arrives just in time to see the 5 possums running to the heating duct. The first one dives straight in, tucking and rolling into darkness. A second small one is at his heels. A larger possum follows with the biggest possum of the group failing behind. Last but not least is Izzy's possum. Columbo stands in the center of the room with his slobbery mouth around the red top of the shampoo bottle, which Izzy can see gave the possums time to escape. He drops the cap and lunges at Izzy's possum, but she grabs him by the collar just in time and yanks back hard. The possum, who had been Izzy's friend, looks over her shoulder at Izzy, then dives into the heating duct. Izzy shouts, "No, come back!" Columbo wails at his version of no. The only sound Izzy hears from the possum is scurrying in the walls. She is still in tears, clinging to Columbo, when her parents rush into the room and pronounce the dog a hero. They seem to think that Columbo has protected them from possums who were seeking revenge for their death of their friend. Izzy chooses not to tell them that the possum they buried wasn't a possum at all, but a shampoo bottle. And from now on, Columbo will not sleep in the crate in the kitchen. Instead, the dog will sleep in Izzy's room. He will take up more than half the bed. He will be allowed to have his red ball in the house. He is her protector now, or at least that's what Izzy's parents believe. And from this night onward, Izzy will have a pet. He will be a real pal. Maybe sometimes he'll even let her put a hat on his head or slip a scarf around his large and hairy neck. Chapter 40, boys and girls, page 272, the very last chapter. The sun is only minutes away from rising when Appleblossom and her family emerge from the vent on the side of the house. Appleblossom hugs her brothers and her mother, and she's thrilled to meet her papa. They all tell, snap, and experience the general commotion that comes when a family is reunited, but then Mama Possum puts an end to it when she announces, "The sun's going to come up. We've got to go our separate ways. Remember, everyone, Keep away from the monsters. Tonight was an all-star cast, but tomorrow you could stand alone. Be prepared for both. Big Poss agrees, adding, If music be the food of the love, play on, before Appleblossom and her brothers can mount an argument that they should all stay together, at least for one night. Mama Possum and Big Poss vanish into the shadows. The 3 young A-possums are now by themselves. Amulet yawns, but looks like he's doing it to hide the fact that he's trying not to cry. Appleblossom turns away. She wants to give him some privacy. It isn't long before Antonio says, Mama Possum and Big Poss don't have a lot in common, but they love the nightlife. Amulet nods, adding, and they love to boogie. Appleblossom asks, what's boogie? Antonio and Amulet both start to laugh. You have to see it to believe it, says Antonio. Appleblossom knows that there is a lot you have to experience to understand, but there are other things that are inside you from the start. One of them is how much her 2 brothers mean to her. The 3 possums climb up onto the cinder block and take a moment to just be together. They join their tails and look out at the moon, but they don't speak another word that night. Instead, they find a hole in a brick wall along the back alley. They curl up next to each other, wedging their bodies close. Appleblossom feels a knee in her nose and a tail around her neck. She hears her brothers fall asleep as their light breathing turns to snores. She knows that while one day she might grow up to find a mate and have a family of her own, there's nothing in this world like a brother or a sister. So much of being a possum, she thinks, as she drifts off to sleep, and it is about learning how to act. But being a brother and sister, if you're lucky enough, is a role of a lifetime. And that is the end of Appleblossom the Possum, boys and girls. I hope you've enjoyed this book. Our next book, we will start on Tuesday morning. It will be The Mouse and the Motorcycle. It will be a fun book to read as well. Have a great day, boys and girls.